Welcome back to the channel. This video is track prep for my first ever track day at Donington Park in the Astra VXR. So brake fluid has not been changed since before I owned it. I bought it a year ago this month and it has factory rubber brake lines. So I've bought some braided ones and some Castrol React Performance brake fluid, which has a decent boiling point. It's not any RBF 660 or whatever it is, but it should be good enough to do the job. Definitely better than what's in it at the minute. So I'm going to jack the car up, get the wheels off, get that fitted, align the rear axle maybe while it's up, and we should be good to go for the track day next week. Let's get on with it. Right, so starting with the front, WD-40'd everything last night, so it should be nice and easy to get off. I've got an 11mm spanner on there, so I'm going to whip these off quickly, and then it should just be as simple as fitting the new line, obviously. So get to work with that now. This is what the end of the brake pipe looks like with it removed. It's only flat on one side, so you can't really get a spanner around it to spin it off, which is a bit annoying, but got it off in the end. So when fitting the new lines, I've got these banjo bolts. I want one copper washer either side of the fitting, and then this side screws into the back of the caliper, as the factory one did. So I'll get that fitted now. Done this finger tight, I'll nip it up at the end. This little bracket slots on like the factory one did. I'm just going to brace this with the 11mm on the top so I don't twist the brake line again, and nip it up. Apparently finger tight plus an 8th turn is good for these. That's not VXR specific, that's just what I've seen online. Probably best to go loose, check it in the future, and then redo it if it seems to need tightening up again, basically. And I obviously need to nip up the banjo bolt as well. And I am unfortunately having to use an adjustable spanner because I still don't have a 16. The old banjo bolt was a 15. This one's a 16, so that should do anyway. That's it for one side. I'll do the other and then get to the rears, and I'll not make you watch me do the other side though. And one last thing to remember is to clip this back on and wire up here and put this little retaining clip back over here, assuming it'll fit, which I'll try and do now. Other side is done. So now all that's left to do is bleed the front brakes. I'm going to do the fronts before the backs and then do the whole lot again, just to make sure the level in the reservoir doesn't drop too much in between. I've got a feeling it'll be harder to refill if that does happen. So yeah, I'm going to top it up, attach the easy bleed with 20 psi in it, and give bleeding the brakes and obviously filling the lines with new fluid a go. So I've just let a bunch of air out of this tyre, so it's 20 psi, which is the pressure recommended for the Easy Bleed kit that I'm using. Pressure bleed in the brakes. I'm gonna hook that up to the car now. The bonnet popped, it attaches to the brake reservoir, and you just pop open the bleed screw until fluid starts pouring out. So that's the old fluid, looks pretty gross. I'm surprised I've barely lost any, to be fair. It's right in the middle between max and min. I'm gonna try and flush that all the way through after I've bled the fronts, changed the rears and bled the rears. I'm gonna do the whole lot again. Just make sure there's none of that grimy old fluid in there, because that's definitely holding water and whatever other contaminants that I don't want in the brake system. That made a bit of a mess, but that's what I get for trying to film and pour at the same time. Right, attempt number 2. The air bottle is leaking air, but now it's not leaking fluid at least. At least I don't think it is. I just nipped those little brass washer things up. So I'm going to open the bleed nipple on the other side, because it's furthest from the brake fluid reservoir. Hopefully we start to see fluid pushing out and we don't see any leaking out of the actual hose connections. That's cracked loose now. I'm going to stick this on now so it doesn't spill everywhere and just start to crack it loose. There's fluid coming out of it now, if you can see that. Nip that back up tight. I'm going to take this off, just going to make a bit of a mess. But yeah, that seems to have done the trick, I guess. I'm just going to do the same on the other side now. So now I'm just going to take this off, remembering to disconnect the tyre first before you disconnect the lid, otherwise fluid's going to go out. Siphon a bit out and then see if the brakes work. That fluid as it is not looking good, even with it diluted with the new stuff. There's like black stuff floating in there. Can't wait to get that fully bled through. Pedal's pretty solid, doesn't feel like it's dropping. I'm go check for leaks. Again, bleed nipples covered in fluid from bleeding it, but it's not pouring out underneath the banjo. Fingers are still dry, and we're all dry up here. You can already tell the pedal's a lot firmer with the new fluid in the front and this new lines, so just have to get on with the back tomorrow or at the weekend. So I'm now getting on with the back. Back takes a bit more effort. There's these copper lines and then 2 stainless lines on each side. What you have to do is disconnect the brake line from the caliper, disconnect it from the body of the car, and then lift the whole lot, including the copper line off with the brackets, then tap the lines out of the brackets, drill the brackets out a bit wider so that they fit these, and then refit the whole lot with the new bits. I've just noticed the same has happened on this side as the other. Put the handbrake cable back. There's video of me doing it the last time I had the rear axle off, and it's popped out and rubbed on the wheel, like gone through half the sheath. I'm gonna probably squeeze this shut a bit better, some pliers, before I put the wheels back on. Right, enough of that. I'm gonna get on with the brake lines and talk to you again when it's all disconnected. Right, so it's both ends of the brake line disconnected. Now I just need to remove the upper bracket and the lower bracket, and then the whole rear brake pipe assembly should lift away from the car. brackets all unbolted and clips to the ABS sensor wire removed. Both brake pipes, well, all three brake pipes come off as one. So it's worth noting that this Courtenay Sport straight line kit, should have said earlier in the video really, is one of the pricier ones. It uses stainless unions instead of copper, and obviously this three-piece setup for each side in the rear. Some of the kits I've seen will use one long piece of stainless for the entire rear setup, which is probably fine, but more line, it's more flex, more places for it to rub if it moves, so I guess this will be marginally better. Yeah, I'm gonna tap these out. Courtenay Sport's right up on how to do it. It says to use a punch and hammer to tap these out, and then widen out the holes to, I think it's 13.8 mil, they say, so close enough, 14, and bend the copper to shape. Should just be roughly the same shape as the factory one. You can just copy that, bend it by hand, and we should be good to go. There we go. There we go, that's both brackets off. So the bracket now has to be opened out to 13.8 millimeters. So at the end of the brake line can slot in like that, or I guess it'd probably come from the other side. And that's according to Courtenay Sport's fitting instructions. Now, I don't have a 13.8 mil drill bit, and I suspect not many people do. So what I'm gonna use instead is a Dremel with this stone grinding wheel attachment. You can just fit that in there, work it round, and then I don't have to ruin a drill bit walking one of those round, which is what I would have probably normally done in the past. So yeah, I'm gonna gradually work away at this, take a bit of material off, check to see if I can press fit the end of the brake line, and then do it again if it doesn't work, and so on. That is pretty much perfect. Yeah, I think that'll do it. So I just need to do the other one now. That's the other side done. Now to fit them to the car. So I've got everything laid out roughly as it would be on the car. And now what we need to do is hand bend this copper hard pipe into roughly the same shape as the factory one, because ultimately everything's going to be mounted in the same places. So that should do for a first effort. Once the brackets are back on the car, I can tidy it up and get it perfect. I swear this don't go in. Right, so for way too long I've been trying to figure out why this banjo included with the kit won't thread in, but comparing it to the stock one, a completely different thread pitch, same diameter. That explains why it would get a thread in and then bind up. So this one works perfectly fine. Just hoping it's the same size as this which does appear to be. So hopefully that seals up and looks like the hole lines up where it should be. So I'll throw some washers on. And yeah, unfortunately we're reusing the standard banjo bolt. I'll do the other side off camera, and then tomorrow probably fill the system up, bleed the brakes, and clean the car while it's on the ramps, because the arches are disgusting and everything's just covered in brake dust and grime. Yeah, I'll check back in with you then. That's the driver's side rear done. Managed to not cross over these this time, which is good. Had a bit of trouble with this flare nut, whole line was spinning, so that was stuck. But if you detach this end, you can take the whole line off and spin the line from this side, so you don't have to bend the hard line on the other side, if that makes sense, and do the same when fitting it back. So I tightened this side and held the other side still. So I'm just going to bleed everything now. I think I've got just enough time to get that done. Right, I've hooked up the pressure bleeder again. Right, I'm going to go to the other side now, do the same again. So I'm going to go ahead and redo the fronts off camera, redo the rears, and then I'll check back in with you when it's all bled up. Right, after bleeding the brakes twice, siphoned off the excess fluid to the level, which you can barely see, is right between minimum and maximum. I'm going to start the car up and see if the brakes work, basically, and then check all the joins again for leaks. So hopefully after all that, there's no new puddles of fluid. The level in the reservoir looks the same. The brake pedal feels good. It didn't get any softer while I kept pressing it. I went up to like 5th then, stopped the wheels from 5th. So yeah, it all feels good so far. I'm gonna go check all the joints quickly, the unions between the copper pipes and the steel ones. Fingers crossed we're all okay. I'm gonna align the rear axle. I think this left wheel needs bringing back a little bit. You have to steer right so the car pulls left, by the way. So I don't want that happening on track. I'm going to wash it while it's still on the ramps, clean up the arches, and lower it back down finally. So I've checked all the joints, and these two appear to be just dripping a little bit. I'm going to nip them up. Hopefully it's just that I didn't tighten them enough, not that I over-tightened them. If they've been over-tightened, then they are probably screwed. I'll give that a go now. Okay, that wasn't that tight, so I'm hoping that was the problem. Just run the car again, slam the brakes 10 times, and there's no more fluid from those 2 leaky connections. I've gone around, checked all the others again, all seems fine, so I'm happy now to actually drive it on the road. It just goes to show it's important to check your work before you go out after working on your brakes. So that's the anti-roll bar detached. I needed to do that because this bolt that holds the rear axle on is directly above it. There's no way to get the impact on it basically with that in the way. So I'm going to do the same on the other side, then this will all drop down and I can get on with unbolting these and shuffling this side back a bit. Alright, this is going to be a bit awkward to try and pull the axle back while tightening one of these bolts up. Right, so that's pinched that in place. Let's have a look. Paint marks I left last time line up. This one looks better than it did before. Just about make out that that one lines up with that. This one's gone. That one is a bit off. I'm gonna check the other side. I'm just going to do the same again now. So I've got this roughly where I think I want it. So the distance between this and the edge of the wheel arch feels about the same. Nip that up. So that is the rear axle, hopefully properly aligned for the first time in a few months. So now I've got that done, I'm going to get the jet washer out, give the car a good once over because everything is grotty, including my nice shiny new exhaust. It's not so shiny anymore. The wheel arches were gross. I kind of wish I'd done this before I'd started working on the car because everything's just been way dirtier than it needed to be, or I've got way dirtier than I needed to get. But it'd be good to have it sparkling for the track day photos.
Living life every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days. Fuck me, I'm looking in the mirror, so foggy, but I've never seen clearer. I don't really think anyone can save me, and honestly I'm not really sure I want saving. I like to be my own worst enemy. There's no risk if you don't try at anything, so I'ma just get buying everything. See you in the next life, have to be a better me. I don't think that my head's on straight, gotta flip it and grip it and go and get an x-ray. What's wrong with me? I just feel weight pushing on my chest and it squeezes till I suffocate. Better change my mindset, meditate. It's pretty cool that I'm alive and have better days. I could walk, see, hear, I should celebrate. Think I could change my mind, maybe elevate. Living life every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days.
So I think that is it for this video. Car's shiny, wheels are as shiny as they're gonna get. I'm not bothered using Polar Seal on it for once, just because I have to put everything away still. And I've got to leave in like 5 minutes, so I'm actually late for where I was going. But yeah, that's it. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.
Wait, no, it's sleeping in on Sundays. I guess it's different for each of us and that's okay. Well, I just wanna be happy. How to get there? Glad that you asked me. I think it's different for everyone. Some of us need work, others need fun. Some of us need purpose to overcome. But try to do what you love when it's said and done. Cause there's so many differences in each of us. Trust your gut, it can show you what you want. Living life, every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days. Yeah, all I need are some better days. Cause all I want, and I pray, I believe in the better days.
Just been for a drive in the car, hammered the brakes a fair bit, and they feel spot on really. Super smooth, super consistent, which is a first. In my ownership of the car, they have never been that nice. Last thing I did today is I removed the bracket that goes here, same as this one, because it was slicing into this pipe, and I don't want to have a math code throw up for intake leak on track. That would be a huge waste of the day. So yeah, that's it. Done.